in the Hamptons in early August 2025 that Charlie himself appropriately named a Save the West retreat. You get it? The West, civilization. That's how he saw it. That's how I see it. That's how we all saw it in this group chat. So over the course of this hour-long Zoom call the night before Charlie Kirk was murdered.
Again, he's just like saying all these things that are totally beside the point. He called it saving civilization.
Yeah, we
Like,
need better.
okay.
We need better names when we get together.
Yeah, really.
We're in the Center for a Better Future right now.
Yeah, we've never named our hangout sessions.
You guys are real haughty every time you get together. Saving the Universe Festival.
But just like things like that are just like I just being like, instead of just going like, hey, you want to grab Mexican food for lunch? Instead we go like, do you want to attend the free market and banking summit? We should us hanging out and talking about this.
We should rename Skankfest the Gathering of the Righteous.
Dave Smith just torched Josh Hammer's entire narrative about Charlie Kirk and exposed exactly how these Israel-first conservatives, gatekeepers, rewrite history when one of their own steps out of line. You've got Josh Hammer sitting there like, I was the Jew in Charlie's Jewish-Christian alliance. I educated him. He came to me for guidance while ignoring the one text that actually matters. I'm forced to abandon support for Israel. Night before he's assassinated. And now suddenly, Josh is the wise rabbi mentor, the handler, the guy Charlie was peppering with questions. Yeah, we're going to break the Matrix script tonight. Let's plug in.
But it's still also like this just doesn't prove anything. It has nothing to do with anything about the claim. Oh, a month earlier, he had named the thing saving civilization. Like, okay. And he goes, everybody, that's how I see it. That's how Charlie saw it. That's how everyone in the group chat saw it. I know, right? Except for that part in the group chat where Charlie said, I'm forced to abandon support for Israel. That part kind of sounds like he wasn't seeing it the way you're seeing it, Josh Hammer. And it doesn't sound like he was like asking your permission. It sounds like he was informing you that that's what's going to happen. There's a weird thing here where, and I don't know exactly what the dynamics are. I'm as fascinated by wondering as I'm sure most of you are too. But like, there's a thing here where like I said, look, Josh Hammer's up on this fucking, this thing's got 30,000 views on it. It's the goddamn biggest topic he'll ever do a show responding to, or at least has been so far in his life. Josh Hammer doesn't have like a draw. He's not a name. When we were doing the show, when we did the debate, it's Charlie Kirk who's putting on the big show here. Charlie Kirk's putting on a huge show. Charlie Kirk has millions of followers. A lot of the people there were there to see me. Like, I'm sure, like they were
Very
happy to see me
smart guy,
at least.
Charlie Kirk.
But Josh, no one knows Josh. But now when he talks about all this shit, he's always casting himself as the one who was like teaching Charlie, the one who Charlie was looking to for guidance in this. And I'm just saying, like, none of that makes sense. It just doesn't make sense. Josh isn't,
not at all.
I'm sorry, Josh isn't like a wealth of information type of guy. He's not a Scott Horton or a Daryl Cooper. He's not someone you look to who could talk to you for hours about details of history that you don't know about, but he does know about. I'm telling you, he had nothing for me in a debate on the subject that this book that he wrote was on, okay? And I'm not one of those guys, but he had nothing for me. I just knew the history better than he did objectively. Like and this was a fucking Oxford style debate.
Pretty smart too.
Anyway, and so the thing is, like, the idea that he's casting himself as that, it doesn't make any sense. Charlie was smarter and knew a lot more shit. I sat down and talked to Charlie too. Like, Charlie read books and knew things. He was a smart guy. And the idea that he was going to Josh Hammer for sage wisdom and knowledge doesn't make. So it's like actually much more of what seems to be going on is that Josh has appointed himself or been appointed by somebody as like the referee guy who's going to be there and tell you, nope, can't say that, doing that, like the guy who's going to be nagging when he says that whatever thing is not good enough. And there were several things Charlie said that they really didn't appreciate.
Sounds more like...
Now here's where the mask really slips. Josh isn't just defending himself. He's recasting himself as Charlie's handler. He keeps pushing this weird power dynamic. Charlie peppered us with all sorts of questions. We were very happy to answer them. He was ignorant and I was informing him. I was the Jew in the alliance. Who talks like that after their friend is murdered? Dave's point is simple but lethal. Charlie Kirk was the star. Millions of followers, huge events, packed campuses. Josh Hammer is a bit player. No mass audience, no real draw. When Dave debated him on Israel, Josh had nothing. No depth, no history, no receipts. So why is Josh suddenly framing himself as the wise elder, the brain behind Charlie, the guy with the answers? Because that's what a gatekeeper does. He's not describing a friendship, he's describing a role. The guy who tells the big platform what it's allowed to say. The guy who advises when donors get nervous. The guy who shows up after the fact to reinterpret the story so it's safe for the network. And that's why Dave keeps circling back to that text. I'm forced to abandon support for Israel, because if Charlie was truly sitting at Josh's feet, begging him for talking points, why is the last documented thing we have Charlie saying the exact opposite of what Josh is now claiming? It doesn't line up. So Josh does what the regime always does. He changes the context, centers himself, and buries the one line that blows his narrative up.
Charlie peppered us with all sorts of questions. How do I respond when the crazies accuse Israel of genocide? How do I respond when the crazies say
this
that...
This is what I mean. You see already what I mean? Charlie was peppering us with all sorts of questions about how do I respond? Like, was he really? Listen, man, people might not, like, you know, I'll just tell you. Sometimes people make shit look easy, and it's not as easy as you think it is. And when you see that Charlie sitting there debating college kids all day long and like responding back, that's not as easy as it seems. Like it takes a skill to do that. Now, whether you think debating college kids is right or wrong, like it takes a skill to sit there and just like machine gun style fucking debate everybody.
100%.
And the idea that he was asking Josh Hammer, like, how do I say it though? Really? After the debate that me and Josh Hammer have, you think Charlie Kirk was looking at Josh Hammer and going, give me the points that'll reel him back in?
I don't believe it.
This is just, there's no way that I buy this for a second. Charlie was so much better at that than Josh has ever been. And there's no way that he was looking at him for advice. This is, I think, just like Plug in the Book. This is like some weird, I mean, like narcissistic type shit that he's coming up here, taking no accountability for blatantly lying, lecturing everybody else, plugging his book, and then retelling the stories of how much Charlie loved his work and how much Charlie would come to him for advice. This, like, I could not believe this as I was watching it.
That's actually what the letter to Netanyahu was a
People
nice
are
way
evil.
of going over Hammer's head and being like, I need someone to give me better talking points. This is not working, and I can't represent this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, what, you know, the idea, if you look even, I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but I think we were talking about this, but did you see Glenn Beck and Vivek Ramaswamy?
No, I haven't watched it.
Dude, it is...
Is Glenn Beck debating Vivek, or they're just at an event together?
No, so Turning Point USA is carrying on with this tour.
And they're trying to put up different people?
The same tour, right? So they've got they tried to get some big names out.
Vivek would be great at that.
Yeah, they're right. You'd think so. Except, dude, that the fucking, when it turns, they give their speech and then it turns to the fucking kids and they get to ask questions.
Right.
And every goddamn question, Rob,
Is about Israel.
Every question is about Israel. And maybe I'm exaggerating, but like
Right.
75% of the questions are about Israel, AIPAC, Israeli influence over the U.S. government, the destruction of Gaza. Why are we getting involved in an ethnic cleansing? Why are we da-da-da-da-da? Like, every single question. Dude, there's one point, Glenn Beck is just getting overwhelmed with these questions. At one point, he takes his jacket off. You can see he's just sweating bullets up there.
Does he pull a chalkboard out of it?
No, he didn't. He didn't have his chalkboard. Maybe he could have skated. But like the point is, and this is what Charlie. Look, dude. This, if you guys remember, right after I went to the Student Action Summit, the big event where I debated Josh Hammer, I did a podcast talking about this. Like, yo, it's crazy. I can't believe how fucking more on my side than against me Charlie Kirk's audience is on this specific issue. It was wild to see. This is what Charlie was writing his letter to Benjamin Netanyahu about. This is what the whole dynamic was. He goes, dude, I'm getting these questions, and all of them, this is what Megyn Kelly said, no one under 30 supports Israel anymore. All the questions are like, how the fuck can we rationalize all this America first shit with all this Israel first shit? It just doesn't, the two do not work together.
Guys, let's zoom out for a minute. Dave brings up something the establishment is terrified of. The kids at these events, Turning Point keeps doing these tours with Glenn Beck, Vivek, all the usual people, and when Q&A time comes, not trans bathrooms, not pronouns, Israel, over and over. Why are we funding ethnic cleansing? How can you say America first and Israel first at the same time? Why are we sending billions while our own borders is wide open? Glenn Beck is literally sweating, taking his jacket off because these college kids won't stop pressing the one topic the donors don't want to touch. Charlie saw that wave up close. Dave saw it too when he debated Josh at the Turning Point event. The crowd was way more on Dave's side than on Josh's on the Israel question. So when Charlie writes to Netanyahu about how his entire under 30 base is turning against this agenda, that's not random. That's not crazies on Twitter. That's the grassroots reality. And now we've got Josh Hammer plugging in his book, claiming he was Charlie's educator, calling critics crazies, acting like Charlie was just a confused student coming to him for correct talking points. It doesn't sound like grief. It sounds like a corporate damage control memo dressed up as a eulogy. Because if Charlie really did start pulling away from the Israel line, even internally, that means the base is shifting, the narrative is cracking, and the system might have just lost one of its most valuable influences. That's not just personal, that's structural.
And you're telling me in this environment that Charlie Kirk was like, all right, I got to find a way to roll back this tide of energy that is backed up by, Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes and me and, like a million other fucking people who are like this huge like wave of people who are like severe critics of Israel. And he was like, I got to roll this back. Let me get Josh Hammer on the horn to give me some talking points.
No way.
There is just no way this is
I'm
true.
with Dave on this one.
Anyway, let's keep playing.
That Israel controls the U.S. government, all these various things, the famine lie,
This guy's like
the information
Dave
operation, the
Shapiro.
blood lie. Well, he had all these questions. We were very happy to
Reminds
answer.
me of Shapiro.
If you go on YouTube to kind of get back to this Dennis
he
Prager,
was ignorant and I was informing him. I was his educator. Since when was that your relationship? Charlie did what you do. Just he was way bigger and more successful and smarter
Dave
and better.
Shapiro
Like, what are you
mini-me.
talking about, dude? Is like casting yourself as that you were this
wise
like
sage.
elder, like wise man, yeah, who he would look to for knowledge. And Charlie was really so smitten with Josh that he just wanted him to sign his book and learn from him. And so, like, even if this was true, which it fucking was not, but even if this was true, how gross it is to be saying this a few weeks after your buddy died. Like, ugh. All right, let's keep
No morals. They don't care. You don't care.
bigger notion that someone is judged not by his private thoughts, but by his actions. There is an eternal memory bank. The internet is forever, as they say. There is an eternal memory bank on YouTube and elsewhere
Dave Shapiro,
of Charlie Kirk
mini-me.
doing yeoman's work on campuses to defend the U.S.-Israel relationship and the Jewish-Christian alliance to save the
Just
West.
pause it for a second. Again,
An alliance that he
the
did.
grasping at straws here. Dude, Rob, there is a library of work where Charlie was defending Israel. You go, that's right. And there's one text 24 hours before he was murdered that said he had no choice but to abandon support for them. That's the whole thing here, right, dude? Yes, the question is, what library of work might there have been in the future? And we don't know. Like, just because he said, I'm going to abandon Israel, that is true. It doesn't mean he was going to. But again, you're just dodging the obvious point, which is that at the very least, the claims that he was about to abandon Israel are not wild and conspiracy theory shit. There clearly was, when that was first stated by Candace, she stated that with some knowledge about the situation. She wasn't making bullshit up. It was clearly at least based somewhat in truth. He had at least on record said that. And you guys all called
Candace
her crazy.
doesn't
And
need
now
to
we
lie.
have proof that you knew that. You're so caught. It's like, anyway, all right, let's keep playing.
Not merely believe in the abstract,
All
but
right,
which he
Point
lived
Dexter.
out on a day-to-day basis. How do I know that? Because that was me. I was the Jew in the Jewish-Christian alliance that Charlie Kirk was living. He had plenty of other Jewish friends, mentors too. Dennis Prager, the late David Horowitz.
No, you're the
And on and
chosen
on.
one.
But that was me.
Josh is the
I
chosen.
was the Jew in Charlie Kirk's vision
Sure
of the
you were.
Jewish-Christian alliance to save the West.
You're the savior.
The final messages that Charlie Kirk sent to that
Hey, dude,
WhatsApp.
okay, just pause it for a second. Tell me, like even like Natalie, as you're watching, is this not fucking nuts? Is this not a
Narcissistic.
crazy way to respond to getting caught lying about your buddy dying?
What
It
a
is so
narcissist.
unbelievably narcissistic. Just making it all about him. The story here is like how great I was. You got caught lying. You really have no response to the lie. And so instead you're just like, how dare you even criticize me for that lie? And let me tell you a bit about how wonderful I am. How great my book is, how much Charlie was learned from me, how
These people are
excited he was,
something
and
else.
I was the Jew. When he talked about Jews and Christians alliance, I'm that Jew. Like, holy shit. Like, I don't know, in that library of evidence, did Charlie ever say any of this? Did he ever talk about how much he's learned from Josh Hammer and how he is his, like, elder advice? Because, like, I don't know. I talk pretty openly about the people who I've learned a ton from and who they are. They won't really need to, like, take it. But even, by the way, just to say, I'm just personally, I didn't know Charlie well enough, and I don't know Josh well enough. I don't know what the fuck their relationship was. I don't buy that this is really what the dynamic was. But wouldn't it be weird? Like, if I got murdered and then Scott Horton or someone like that was like being interviewed and he just started going off about how much I respected him and how excited I was about his books and how much, like, by the way, that's all true. Like, that's all true. But it'd still be a pretty weird thing to be saying, like, publicly a couple weeks after I got murdered. Even leaving aside the you got caught lying thing. Just be a weird thing to say.
Here's where it gets really dark. Listen to how Josh describes himself. I was a Jew in Charlie's Jewish-Christian alliance to save the West. And then listen to what he functionally admits. He was the one giving Charlie the approved answers. He was the one explaining how to respond to critics. He was the one managing the Israel talking points. It's classic Matrix logic. They push an incoherent system. Someone inside starts waking up. The person is either destroyed, discredited, or rewritten. Anyone who notices is branded dangerous, so the system can't tighten the screws. You're not supposed to ask why Charlie's last word to that group was, I'm forced to abandon support for Israel. You're supposed to sit down, shut up, and accept that Josh Hammer was his rabbi, mentor, handler, advisor, and spiritual GPS. Dave Smith just ripped the mask off a very specific ecosystem that needs you confused, emotional, and loyal, but never informed enough to connect the final dots. So here's my question for you. Do you believe Charlie Kirk was learning from Josh Hammer? Or do you believe Josh Hammer is now rewriting Charlie's legacy to protect an agenda? Drop your take in the comments. Smash like if you're tired of fake alliances that always seem to put America last. Hit subscribe if you want more Matrix breakdown style takedowns where we actually follow the receipts, not the talking points. Because out here, we're not saving the West for the donors. We're trying to save reality for the people still trapped in the program.